Okay, so hello everyone. Thank you for joining the session. My name is Hatvina, and today I'll be sharing a study we conducted on gender dynamics in pest and disease management support in Java, Indonesia. So this study was done together with Leandra, Valentina, and also Claudine. So before we dive into the findings, next slide, please. So before we dive into the finding, please let me briefly explain who extension officers are. Extension officers are frontline workers who connect farmers with new technology, information, and government support. They play a key role in delivering support, especially for pest and disease management. In Indonesia, the one who plays in delivering support for pest and disease are known as plant protection officer. So in this study, we wanted to explore how gender dynamics affect this technical support. Here, what we focus on, the first one, we want to identify and analyze gender-based differences in how technical support is provided to farmers by men and women plant protection officers. The next one, we want to assess how access to training and information varies between men and women officers. And the next one, we want to look at the challenges faced by both men and women officers in transferring their knowledge to farmers. Next slide. Okay, so for the data collection, we was collected the data between November and December 2024, and we completed the analysis in January. So here are the maps that show our coverage across Central Java and East Java. Next slide, please. Okay, so for the next one is the methodology. Here we use a mixed method approach for this study. Quantitative data was collected through structure survey, while qualitative data was collected through key informant interviews. So for the respondent, our respondents were plant protection officers, and we are using purposive sampling. We survey 40 officers in total, contain 20 men and 20 women, and we also conducted depth interview with 10 of them. The graph here show the age distribution and educational background of the officers. As you can see, most officers are within the 20 to 39 age group, and many of them have a college education. So please, next one, Valen.
Okay, thanks, Hina. I'm fine. I'll share the main findings from Objective 1 on how gender affects technical support delivery. So on the left graph, we see gender affects how often officers give support. On the right, we see differences in the ways they give it. Next slide, please. Our small research found that men officers tend to provide daily technical support more frequently than women. In contrast, women officers often face barriers, such as heavier workloads or lack of mobility, which limit their ability to offer equal support with men. So their assistance is typically provided weekly or on demand. Despite this, both male and female officers prefer face-to-face interactions because they allow deeper engagement and are still considered the most effective. However, women officers face more challenge in conducting these interactions. So to adapt, they often reach women farmers through alternative channels, such as women farmers groups. Next slide. Then the gender differences become more pronounced when we look at alternative support methods. Overall, men officers use a broader range of tools, including digital platforms and printed materials. Women use this less due to resource and time limitations, and instead focus on participatory approaches with two-way communications. So the key learning is, while men officers offer more frequent support using diverse tools, women officers use more interactive methods but face greater constraints. Next slide, please. Based on our research, we found also that gender norms also affect farmers' engagement. Male farmers may doubt women officers' expertise, so women officers must build trust over time. And these challenges highlight the value of women farmers groups, which provide safe, supportive environments where women officers can be more effective. So the key learning is women officers face trust barriers with male farmers, while women farmers often lack decision-making power, both of which can limit the success of pest management efforts. Next will be explained by Claudine.
Thanks, Valentina. So for our second objective, we looked at the extent to which access to training and information on pest and disease management differs between men and women officers. And to achieve this, we collected data on how they received their training and what modes of training they received. Next, please. While both genders received formal training, there are differences in terms of how they received it. Complemented by the interview data, we found out that women officers faced more challenges in attending in-person training sessions due to caregiving responsibilities and logistical constraints like safety concerns when traveling to remote areas. As a result, they showed greater reliance on peer learning and self-directed study to update their technical knowledge. And while men officers are proactive in field-based learning and attending coordination meetings, women officers prefer flexible options such as consultation and mentoring to fit household responsibilities. From this, we can infer that women's unpaid care burden restricts professional development. Thus, the need for equitable and flexible training models that accommodate gendered responsibilities. Next, please. Our last objective is to learn the challenges faced by plant protection officers in supporting farmers. We collected data on factors related to time management, mobility, safety, and institutional support. We triangulate this with key findings from the first objective. Next, please. And we found out that gender roles and stereotypes influence the experiences and challenges of plant protection officers, especially women. For example, aside from the pressure of balancing caregiving and work duties, they also avoid remote or nighttime assignments due to safety concerns or incidents of harassments from male farmers. These limitations reduce their engagement with men farmers who are actually the key decision makers in most of the households. Next, please. Because of the challenges I have mentioned, women officers experience additional system-related challenges, especially in terms of policies that accommodate women's need for safe transportation, flexible schedules, and security risk. And so for the recommendation and key learning from the course, I would like to hand over the floor to my teammate, Leandra. Over to you, Leandra.
Thank you so much, Claudine. So now that my teammates have already spoken about the key findings and learnings from the 3 objectives of the study, some of the recommendations that we came up with are as follows. So there is a need to implement more gender-responsive extension services. And what I mean by this is that we need to strengthen and have more women farmer groups, as the women officers as well as the farmers. They found them to be really useful, especially with being more engaging, and it also encouraged the use of more participatory approaches. And this was found to be preferred by both the women officers as well as farmers. We need to also improve training accessibility. So women officers and farmers, they need to have better access to flexible training formats and schedules. Like they need to have access to online as well as offline to accommodate some of the challenges that they were facing with their caregiving roles, as well as safety and logistical concerns. One thing that was preferred was digital platforms, and this, for example, WhatsApp. So this could be a method that needs to be made more accessible to women officers as well as farmers. Next slide, please. In terms of the institutional support and policy reforms, we need to implement, or there is a need to implement more gender-sensitive workplace policies and provide safer transportation for women, especially to some of the really remote areas. Some gender-sensitive workplace policies could include more flexible working arrangements, equal training opportunities that's accessible to both men and women, and better working environment for women, especially those that face harassment from the men farmers. So there need to also be some more mentorship opportunities, especially for the younger female officers. As learning from the older women officers, they often found it very difficult to engage with the older men farmers. Next slide, please. So that was the recommendations, but in terms of the future research, in the study, we just focused on Java Island, which is well developed. But there is a need to look at some of the regional differences as well, and the challenges that the officers as well as the farmers face in the provision and uptake of integrated pest management, especially across some of the more remote regions. So this is one that I would recommend for future research project, because this could really give us some interesting data as well as insights on gendered impacts in the provision and uptake of IPM. We could also further examine how funding and government policies, how they affect plant protection services in Indonesia, across all of Indonesia, and also how increased financial support and policy changes could help improve some of the technical assistance that can be provided to the farmers, thus improving the effectiveness and adoption of pest management. So in terms of the key learnings and takeaways, we work together well as a team. The 6-month course really helped us to work collaboratively. It helped to build technical as well as gender knowledge. We were more aware of the technical areas like IPM, climate change, biodiversity, and how to better integrate gender considerations into such projects. And also we've improved a lot in terms of our gender data skills and just confidence levels overall. Thank you so much.